Coming to you live from the Stones Studios, it's The Phantoms Talk Show, filmed in front of a live studio audience of one.
Admired you as been Mr. Basketball.
Yes, we'll talk about that, Jerry.
And certainly I have no gender reveal. I've been more or less a man, as far as I know.
More or less, I think,
time.
is the key.
Yeah.
What exactly are you the GOAT of? Is it prep reporting? Is it high schools? Is it college? What are you? You're definitely the GOAT. But what of? Well, what's too far for Mom to drive? And I want to get outside, because I had one of those who goes, I think Fullerton's far enough away that Mom can't come on a Thursday.
A bar, a restaurant, whatever it may be, something to find.
I like how you go lessons or working at a bar.
It's one or the other. Yeah. It's one or the other.
They're like, really didn't pay much attention to me, so I thought, well, maybe I can make Tom laugh, and maybe I'll get on the country show.
On the show tonight, the great Jerry Reynolds. And now, the guy you've all been waiting for. It's the Phantom.
Hello and welcome to Phantom Talk Show. I'm Phantom, and my guest today is someone I've known for about 10 years. I consider a good friend. We've only talked like 4 or 5 times in those 10 years. And so, Kristina Werner, let me ask you this. Do you feel the same vibe with me? And before you answer, if you say no, the show is off to a horrible start.
No, absolutely. I think we've always had a good vibe, good connection. And like you said, we've kind of just stayed in touch, stayed loyal to each other.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think we have a good little connection.
Well, the key to our connection is whenever I ask you to do something, you always say yes.
Well, you've always been good to me, so I show up.
I don't know why. But I think this is when we first met. Okay, so you were at Fox 40 for over 23 years.
Yes.
So you started around 98 or 99?
99.
99, which is the same year that we started the Rise Guys on KHTK.
Which I listen to all the time.
That's fantastic, and I watch the news every night.
No, you don't, but it's okay.
But the thing is back in those days, radio and TV were really closely aligned in the sense that we used to get stuff from Fox 40 all the time. When you'd have Sweeps Week or something or a promo, we used to get it all the time. I am so surprised that I don't think our paths crossed until like 15 years later. Did we have a meeting back in the day that I forgot?
No, I don't think we did. I knew, obviously, who you were. I listened to the Rise Guys all the time. My dad was a faithful listener.
There you go.
Of the Rise Guys as well. So sports talk has always been part of my life, listening to it constantly. So so I knew exactly who you were. And then, I don't think our paths did cross until you worked with Don Geronimo.
Don Geronimo. I think this is about 2015, and he's doing basically a morning show, like a streaming podcast, but it's like 2.5 hours long. So we did a morning show every morning, and then all of a sudden I go to one of the shows. It's basically a podcast fantasy draft, and there you are.
There I was.
And I'm like, what? First
How
of all,
did I show
who is
up?
this, and why is she here? So tell me, who were you then, and why were you there?
Okay, so like I said, I'm a radio podcast. I love it, like all of that. I'm constantly listening if I'm not, if I'm driving, if I'm whatever, cleaning around the house, things like that. So I was a big Don Geronimo and Don and Mike fan.
Right.
So I listened to the Don and Mike show because that was kind of the time that I would be getting ready for work, because I worked like a 2 to 11 for many, many years. So I would be getting ready for work. So the Don and Mike show was just part of my life. Then Don came here to Sacramento, and I think just through probably social media and me, talking and interacting, and that's how I met Don. And I just was always a huge fan, just loved the show. It's fun, it's light. I have kind of a naughty sense of humor, so I get all that stuff.
And you don't take yourself too seriously.
No,
I mean, even though you're the foremost meteorologist in the area for many years, you don't let people, you don't throw that at people, and I like that.
No, I just, and I'm a sports fan, so I definitely was listening to 1140 all the time. And I remember there was Don liked to always include different people in the fantasy football, and they asked me, because I was a fan and knew all about it, if I would do it. And I said, heck yeah, I would do that. So he always reached out to a lot of media people. He had a lot of media friends. So you were there, and then we met then, and then I don't know why, a couple years later, we started doing the Potters games, and started to have an idea. Hey, why don't we bring somebody up in the booth to chat with, and like Pat Steele and Tom Mealy and Whitey and people. But then I asked you, and you immediately said yeah. And then I really realized how much of a sports fan you were doing those games with you, because you came in there and you were. I mean, baseball. Baseball was your life. Baseball, softball was my life for many, many years.
It was it was fantastic just to share the booth with you, and also to go back and forth with you. It was really a lot of fun, and it seemed like you were having a lot of fun at the games, and that was great for me to see too.
No, I really enjoy doing those games, and as you know, when you're in the media, be it radio, there are things you have to show up for,
Yes.
and then there are things you want to show up for. And that's one of those that I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. It's fun for me. I enjoy doing it. But it's because I like working with you.
Yeah.
There has to be, but there has to be a give and take with someone. And if you don't have that, it can be painful.
Yeah, and it was you're part of the
It's easy.
you're part of the Potters family now because
Right.
you've been there 3 or 4 times. I don't even maybe
I'll probably
4.
be there next year.
You probably will be there. I don't even know if I'll go, but I'll still send you over there.
You will.
So I've
You
known
will.
you, like we said, I've known you about 10 years or so,
Okay.
and there's 3 things I think I know about you. Number 1, obviously you're a huge sports fan. Number 2, and I think this is okay to still say, it might be, I might be a cancel. You're a great hang.
Yeah.
Do you understand what that?
Yeah,
you
I'm a
understand what
cool
saying?
chick.
You're a cool chick, but I think maybe back in the day when that term was first instituted, like, oh, she can hang. I mean, probably was a little bit
I get what you're
derogatory in a
saying,
way,
yeah.
but I don't mean it that way at all. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And the third thing is, more seriously, I know you're a great mom. Because
thank you.
bring your daughter with you to
the Potters games.
to the Potters games, and so I wanted to just ask you one thing about that. Now, nobody ever asked me for parenting advice,
Okay.
and I don't know why. I like the way you said okay, like no, nobody ever
I can
would.
totally see
Nobody
that.
ever would. But if they did, I would say, in all seriousness, I would say kids listen to most of what you say, but they see everything you do.
Absolutely.
So, you want to make sure that your actions match or exceed your words. And I'm just wondering, is there anything, a precept or anything that you would, if someone asked you about parenting, what would you tell them?
Show up.
Consistency.
Show up and be there.
Yeah.
I think that's the major thing with not doing TV anymore, not working nights. One of the great things for me has been I'm there all the time. I was always there anyway, and I would go to everything my daughter does, everything that I can be a part of, I'm going to be. But now being able to be there even at night, just to take her to practice,
Right.
just to pick her up, just to shuffle her from here to there. Like, I think just showing up, because I think that's what she'll remember. Looking back, my mom was always there.
Yeah, and the consistency, and also the fact you hear new parents and they're all nervous. Well, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to screw up. Well, you're going to make mistakes.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing is it's nice if you have someone else that can help you take part of the load as well. But you're going to make mistakes, and you can't be deterred by them as long as you kind of learn something by them. And it's like you said, even when you make a mistake, you still show up. You're
up.
right there all the time. You may not have said the right thing or done the right thing, but you're right there for them.
And you're going to make mistakes 1 hour and fix it the next hour. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like,
And
the
then
mistakes
screw it up
come-
again 15
exactly.
minutes
And
later.
the next day, you'll do it all over again and not understand, why did I not learn from that? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I just wanted to ask you that because I know how much pride you take and how much you love your daughter, and having her around the Potters games was a lot of fun too. But let's get back to the first thing, which is how insane you are about sports.
Okay.
And you are insane about sports. I saw you tweeting about your mom and dad or something calling you and saying calm down or something, just a couple of, or they were going to call you.
It was a Niners game.
Yes.
Obviously, this is going to air whenever it airs, but yeah, it was for the Niners game. And there's a Niners game tonight. So what will happen? Yes, my mom and my dad, who are no longer married, but amazing. And, it's a great situation, but they know that their daughter will be freaking out during the game. So they will be texting me. And things weren't going so well in the first half of the 49ers game this last weekend.
Yes.
And I was not happy.
You're a play-by-play
I am.
fan. You're not a fan who goes,
play-by-play.
okay, the quarter's over. Next quarter.
I'll relax.
That plays bad. That plays good.
That plays good.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's you.
That's what I enjoy social media for, is just, it's like my sports bar. It's like hanging out at a sports bar.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what I enjoy it for. So, but I am very much the teams I like. I have liked since I was little. I will always like them. Nothing is going to change that. And yes, I am a little bit dramatic. So basically, the Niners were not doing well in the game for the first half. Then the second half, they kind of came alive and things were changing. Finally, defense woke up. And I got a text from my mom and dad at the same time. I think the Niners went up by 10. And they said, okay, are you all right now?
Yes, they were worried about you.
And I was like, yes, okay, now I'm okay. I'm okay now.
So let's take it all the way back then. You said you're crazy for your teams. When did it start? Did it come from your parents when you were a little kid? Is that who they rooted for? So that's why you rooted for them? And why did you take to sports in the first place?
So 49ers, people are going to think this is weird. My dad and my brother loved the 49ers, and at first I did not like them because they liked them so much. So I was not a huge Joe Montana fan. Don't hate me.
Oh, boy.
I like Steve Young.
Yeah.
So that's when I
that's
became,
fair.
so that was really when I became more of a, and it was because my brother loved Joe Montana, so I loved Steve Young, so we would fight about it. That was basically, so yes, it came from them, but also I felt like it was my decision. With the Giants, we would go to Giants and A's games, and eventually
Yes.
I just chose the Hum Baby years. That was when Roger Craig and all of that. That's when because I was playing ball all the time.
Yes.
And so I was really into that. So that was what really made me a Giants fan. And then obviously Kings games. We went to those when I was little, and that one was bred
Yeah,
right
you're
into
right
me.
in there.
Yeah,
I know
there
you're
was
right
no-
in there. But you talk about you played. So I mean, you played softball, basketball. What were your sports? when
I
you
did
were
not
growing
play basketball. I played softball, a little bit of volleyball, not much, and then soccer. I was a softball
nice.
soccer girl.
What was your soccer? Was striker, midfield?
No, I was a midfielder.
Yeah, midfield.
Yeah.
Because you like to be in the middle of the action, moving everything
Yeah,
around.
I was either a wing, forward, or I was the center mid. Yeah, so I like to be
So
control.
how long did that last? Now you talked about playing. So you played softball for a long time. I think we
I
talked about
played
this at the
softball
Potters
since I
games.
was about 4 or 5. I mean, I
Right.
started in t-ball, just like everyone does, and then played all the way up until I played a couple years in college, but it was at American River. That's where I
the
played.
Beavers,
I
fantastic.
played for the
Love
Beavers.
the Beavers.
That was one of the best, situations and times of my life. It was just a blast. And then soccer, I played all those years as well, but I did not play in college.
Okay, so you
I had to pick one.
You were grounded in all the sports, and so you were well suited once you grew older to become a sports fan, to become a crazy sports
Right,
fan,
and my
because
mom
you had
watched
the love
sports,
of the sports.
my dad watched
and you had the
sports.
teams,
I
yeah.
came from a household that when it was Monday Night Football, it was on. When it was Sunday, it was on all day. When it was, baseball, it didn't matter what was on. And I mean the Olympics, I mean everything. So if
Everything.
you notice, I tweet about everything because
Figure skating?
I love figure skating. I
Oh,
love
geez.
gymnastics. I love it all. Any kind of competition sports. That's what you're probably thinking. Why didn't you do that for a living?
I was going to talk about that a little later,
I'll
but we
explain
can,
why.
we can get into that.
I have a reason why.
But I do have to mention that it's my talk show, so we can talk about me for a while.
I
no,
thought this was about me.
No, it's
Sorry.
that's a common misconception. No, it's just a thing in our house. I can't watch figure skating because my wife watches figure skating all the time. If I walk through the room and look up at the screen, they fall down. It's a proven. It's proven. It's absolutely a proven fact. It doesn't
I feel
matter.
like the percentage is probably pretty high if anyone walks in the room.
Well,
There are a lot
I
of
guess you
falls.
could look at
There are
it
a lot
that
of
way.
falls.
I know, but whenever I come through, and now I can't even watch the figure skating because I'm bad luck.
Okay.
And
I can see that.
you could see me being bad luck.
Yes, I get it.
So
I get it.
let's talk about, secondly, let's go to you being a great hang. I think people can understand why you are, because you like everything that's fun to like and for people to hang around you.
Yeah.
So you're a great fan, but are you like a discourse person? Are you, go back and forth with people about sports, or do you not like to get into arguments
I don't
and
like
stuff?
to argue because I get a little too sensitive about it. So if you notice, I just tweet it out and then don't really
then
respond.
run away.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't respond to anyone. I am literally just tweeting what I'm thinking in that moment. And if people agree, they like it. And if they don't, they don't. But usually when someone wants to argue with me, it goes down a really bad, dark place. And I don't want to be there. So I'm not a talk smack kind of person. I will talk smack about my own team if I'm mad at them in that moment. So I'm not really trying to.
And you can because it's your team.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm
My team, obviously I'm not playing, but I feel like I have the right to talk smack about my team. Don't jump in. Like I'm not asking for anyone. I'm not adding anyone.
This is a one-person crusade.
Yes.
I don't need you.
I don't
just need the
you.
game, the TV, and my phone so I can
phone.
tweet.
Yeah.
Now, are you the kind of person who tweets or X's or whatever you call it, and you wait for some replies? Do you care?
Oh,
It
no.
sounds like you just tweet and run.
I'm just tweet and run.
You're a tweet and run.
I don't even look till later.
You don't
Later
even
on in
care
the
if
day,
any-
I see
you don't
that
care if
people
anyone
like
engages
it.
you.
Yeah, I could care less.
See, I think that's smart because
I just spout it into the universe, get it out, and move on.
there have been times, some time ago where I would craft what I considered to be a hilarious response to something.
And no one will say
And I
anything?
just like, well, I may work on this a little bit. No, I'm not. It's not ready to go out yet. This one word needs to be
No.
changed, and I get it perfectly, and I shine it up, and I hit send or whatever you do, and
Nobody responds.
crickets, just crickets. So I'm going to be.
That is sad when that happens.
I know, and I'm saying this is
That
good
is
stuff
sad.
over
When
here.
you're
What are
like,
we waiting
I just nailed
for?
it, and you guys, no one notices.
I'm gonna tweet and run. That's
Tweet
what
and
I'm gonna
run.
do.
I'm telling you, it works. And I think, too, some of it is I'm frustrated in the moment. And I will look, though, to see, are other people feeling the same way? Am I crazy, or is this what I'm seeing? And I'll be like, yep, that's what I thought. I'm seeing exactly what I should be.
Well, that surprises me because I thought you would be a person who goes, well, if I feel that way, that's validation enough. I don't need someone else to feel that way.
Okay, I do think that sometimes, too.
Especially about your team.
Yes.
Now, is it the Niners that bring out the most? Is it the Giants, or is it the Kings?
It
the Kings maybe a little come lately, so I'm thinking maybe it's the Niners.
It's the Niners right now because I feel like they have to win. We're at the year where they have to win it all, or the time for them to win is slowly slipping away if they don't.
The window is closing.
Yes,
as we
the window's
say.
there you go. That's a better way to put it.
And do you get involved in the whole Brock Purdy and that kind of thing, or is you just root for the team and you don't worry about it?
No, I don't really care at this point. I feel like quarterbacks for the 49ers has been such a torturous, just
Montana and Young really killed me. Yeah.
But ever since
recently,
then, it's never been positive. It's never been good. It's always controversial. It is
controversial.
It's pulling teeth. It's not part of being a 49er fan. For me, is not fun. So I'm just looking for someone to do well that day. For me, I'm more excited with the rest of the offense, with the defense, with the different individual players and things like that.
So who's your guy on the team?
Fred Warner.
Oh,
I
so
love
you're old
Fred
school,
Warner.
yeah.
I love
Fred
Fred
Warner seems, he's been good for so long, but he seems every once in a while you'll be listening to a national show, and all of a sudden one guy will pipe up and go, Fred Warner's really good.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
It's like they just
he's
realized
got to that.
it.
That guy's really good. He's been all pro like 10 years in a row or whatever it is. So let's get into the whole meteorologist, 23 years at Fox 40, and you don't have to tell us what happened or anything, but was it something that you kind of saw was coming, leaving, or was it something you were kind of surprised by?
No, I was surprised.
Yeah,
I was surprised by it, but in the end, like I said, being able to show up and be there more. My daughter's got 2 more years before college.
Yeah, and she's out of the house.
And
yes.
she's gone.
Yes.
So, and she's the type that she's going to a 4-year. Like, she's going to be gone.
And
so,
let me ask, is she the type that's looking at the map to go, what's too far for Mom to drive?
No.
And I want to get outside, because I had one of those who goes, I think Fullerton's far enough away that Mom can't come on a Thursday night.
Well, she's definitely looking at Southern California schools.
Okay,
There's
there
definitely
you go.
some UC schools in Southern California that are probably going to be where she ends up. So it'll be, farther away from me. But who knows? We may move. You never know.
Well, I mean, I let one get away to Fullerton, and he never came back.
Never came back. I can see that.
I just want you to know that. So how about some of the people that you work with now? I got to say, you and Jim Crandall with your high school highlight show. Now, I don't know how long ago you guys started that, but I think it was the first station in this area to have one of those shows, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know if it was the first, but it was definitely original in that they let me do the show with him.
Was that coming from you, or did they come to you and ask you?
Well, I think I sort of inserted myself into
it.
As I do.
You weren't even supposed to be a guest on this show. I don't know how you got here.
So Crandall had done the show a long time by himself because Mark Dembski, who was also a sports reporter, he would be out in the field. And so Crandall would be by himself, and it was a half-hour show. And basically we would be done with the newscast, and I would just stay in there and comment on highlights in the studio because I loved watching it.
Under your breath?
No, out loud. And Crandall didn't mind because he kind of knew I was a crazy sports fan too. So, and I loved watching the show, and I loved the highlights and all the local schools, very familiar with all of them. And so finally they realized if she's just going to be there, let's just put her on with them.
We're already paying her.
And Crandall was okay with it. And so we started that show, and that show was on for, I want to say 10, 15 years.
Wow, that was a fantastic show. So, we have certain, old hats, if you will, in the sports scene. Gary Gerald, obviously Jerry Reynolds. I don't know that Jim gets the credit that he deserves. I know you worked with him a long time. Tell us a little bit about Jim.
Amazing talent. Just, first of all, I mean, he's a great dude. He's one of my greatest friends. I still see him all the time. In this business or in the TV business, it's tough sometimes to make a real connection, and a lot of people are coming and going. It's a little bit hectic. It's stressful. We're always under a deadline, but from the minute I met him, I knew he was a genuine, real person. He was just so good to me, but also fun and talented. And I don't think people understand when he was doing sports. You would understand this, I think, but usually people use a teleprompter.
Right.
Yeah, they write their scripts. Crandall didn't do anything. He just stood up there, and all of that was just off the top. That's just how talented he was. It was off the top of his head.
Now you've told me before, that you didn't use a teleprompter.
And I think we had a
you
good
were
connection.
quite proud of that. And did that come from Jim at all, or was that just the way you always
No,
worked?
that's all how I always worked. And most weather, you don't use a teleprompter because you can actually see your maps. You can actually see your maps.
Once you figured out how to look right and look left, because I have no idea.
And usually it's more off the
Yeah.
cuff, and that's how I work. I was never good at reading the teleprompter. Believe it or not, it's kind of a skill. It's not fun.
No, I believe it. I totally believe it.
But Jim would just have an outline, and he would just go, and he just had a knack for knowing what stories were important, locally what was important, what we should cover, and just an amazing guy. Loved his kids, his wife, like just a good family man. Like just, I was very lucky to be able to work with him for so many years.
Now, you've told me, like I said, a couple of times about not using a teleprompter, and I know that you like improvisation. You were kind of proud of that, and that leads me to wonder, as we were talking earlier, how did you end up doing the weather? There's other things, obviously, we think you could have done,
right?
And why did you take that direction?
So I went into it from school thinking, okay, I'm going to do sports, right?
There
Obviously.
You go. Yes.
I'm going to do
sports. Of course.
And then I got an internship. It was actually at KMAX 31, and they needed someone actually in the weather department. They were starting a whole new weather system, and they needed someone who knew how to run a weather computer or run a computer. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I don't care. I just want an internship. I just want to get into the newsroom.
Sure.
I just want to see what it's like.
Get your foot in the door.
So I'm in the weather department, and then I realized that's the only department that is not reading a teleprompter, that is actually able to just kind of go and talk. And I realized, oh, that's what I'm good at. I'm not good at the other. I'm better at just standing up there and talking. Plus, I enjoyed weather. I always wanted to know what the forecast was, what's going on. Playing sports all these years, I always wanted to know, was our game rained out? Was
Very
it not?
important, yes.
It was a big deal. So I was always into it. And then I realized, too, watching the sports department, you can't enjoy it as much as you would like when you're working
you're in it. You're embedded in it.
It's not as much
fun. It's
fun.
not the same. Yeah.
For me, sports is an escape.
Right.
It's what I love to do, what I'm looking forward to doing tonight. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's my downtime. It's how I escape from the drones of everyday life. So I realized really quick, I don't want to do that for a living. I want to do something else that is in this world, but is not my escape.
Right. So then you pursue, but don't you have to go, get your meteorological
So then
degrees
I
and
decided,
everything?
oh my gosh, I
takes
fell
some
in love with the whole
right?
weather. Yeah, I fell in love with the whole weather thing, and I said, okay, I'm going to try to get a job. If I can get a job on air, I'll give myself 6 months. If I can get a job on air, because a lot of times you can do it without a degree in weather. I had a broadcast meteorology degree. A broadcast degree.
If there's a broadcast meteorology degree, I want that.
No,
yes.
well, I did eventually get that.
There you go.
So,
I want one of those
and
too.
I said, okay, I'm going to go. If I get a job, I will go back to school while I'm working, and I'll get my meteorological degree. And that's what I did.
Fantastic. Well, I've always said a couple of times when we've done games together, I've always said that, I thought you'd be perfect for radio, because if I ever got a chance to do a radio show, which nobody's knocking down my door, I would want to be a partner with you because of your ability to go back and forth and stuff. So with that said, and I must say that since this is the first time I've seen you since you left work, but I've talked to you a couple of times. You seem really happy and really healthy and really ready. Very eager to take on life and everything. I know it's a weird thing to say, but it really shines out to me. You agreed to come over here, so that you schlepped it all the way up from Elk Grove, so that's pretty nice.
I think the thing for me is, even though it ended in a way that I wasn't necessarily expecting, or it ended quickly. I knew, like you said, I didn't know that it was going to end. I knew it was coming close. I don't feel like there's anything I didn't do in TV that I still need to do. I was there for a long
23 years
time.
Is a long time, yes.
And it was a weight or a stress that I didn't realize was necessarily on me from day to day that I just didn't need anymore. Mm-hmm. So I do feel lighter. I feel good. my daughter said to me the other night, and I'm not going to get choked up, but she just looked at me and said, "I'm just so glad you're here every night."
I'm going to get choked up.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't miss that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to miss a thing. And that's important to me, especially since I've only got 2 years before she goes to college.
Oh, man, I know.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that, though. What have
Okay.
you done since you left? I know you were doing you did a little bit of radio.
I did a little bit of radio
and,
just to help out, fill in a little bit.
And you did. I thought you did great.
thanks.
So how did you like that?
I liked it. I kind of like the short form podcasting a little bit better.
Yeah, that is a grind. Now,
It's a
people
lot.
don't realize a 4-hour show it's a long time.
I think it'd be a little bit easier in the heart of Niner season, in the heart of King season,
Right.
probably. But it was different. It was definitely different. I think it's funny to me because coming up now, if I was to redo everything, start all over, I maybe would have thought of sports talk radio when I was younger.
Right.
As opposed to obviously a little bit later in life. But back then you couldn't just walk into those jobs, and now
No.
I feel like you can, like the jobs are more available maybe than they were a
There
little
are
bit
an awful
more.
lot more people that want those jobs
Yes.
too. So
and
that's different.
back then you could not get those jobs, so I said, okay, I can do this TV thing.
Well, you kind of forged your own path. And
I did.
and I think it's great because you were able to keep sports in something that you could enjoy.
Right.
And I'm not to say that people who work in sports don't enjoy it,
No,
but it's a
and I
different
don't mean
kind
it
of
like that.
It's a different kind of
It's a
thing.
grind.
Yeah, it really is a grind. So what do you see yourself maybe in 2 years when your daughter has gone off to college, and please don't choke up on me. Do you see
No, I'm
yourself
good.
trying to go back to some sort of job, or are you
Maybe.
just kind of enjoying yourself now, and that's
I'm
kind of the
trying
way
to
it's going to go?
Yeah, what I want to do is something I enjoy. I don't want
Yeah.
to do anything that I feel like I don't enjoy. That's the main thing for me. And I did enjoy my job for many, many years, but there was a weight and a pressure, like I said, that I didn't realize was on me. And maybe it was the pull from I want to be home more. I want to be home at night. Maybe it was just all of that, and I don't have to fight that anymore. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So that part is good. I don't think TV probably is in my. I think I've done everything.
You've done that.
I've done it.
Like we said,
but
23
radio
years.
or podcasting or something like that, absolutely, I could see that.
Something that you could. It's easier podcasting wise to meld your fanship, if you will, to
Right.
your job because it's not as important to keep them separated. So
Right.
it might be a lot easier for you. I could see maybe you getting into. Like I said, if I ever get a chance, you'll be my first call.
Good, because I will go with you.
Just so okay, so
I will go.
You will go with me. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
I'll put you on the spot.
All right.
You're a huge football fan.
I am.
Have you ever thought about being a football commentator?
I haven't. I have to reel it in, Phantom. That's my only concern.
You do.
I'd have to reel it in.
I have worked with you on baseball games, so you have to reel it in.
Yeah,
I understand
you
that.
know.
But those have a little. There's a little less structure to those.
Right.
Football kind of people who watch football, as you well know, they want to watch football. So
Right.
you can't do your funny antics like
No,
you
you
like to
can't.
do all
Yeah,
the time.
I can't
You
be
have to do football.
sarcastic all the time.
Well, I think I might need someone to help me out coming up here in a couple weeks. I'm going to put you on the short list.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
All right. Kristina Werner, thank you so much for stopping by and talking with us on the Phantom Talk Show. It's really been a pleasure just seeing you again. It's been a while since I've seen you, so it's a pleasure
know.
to see you again.
Well, thank you. I will always show up for you.
I know you will. Thank you
Okay.
very much. And Stones McCoy, thank you very much. That's the Phantom Talk Show. We thank all of you for watching. We'll see you next time.